Today, we are excited to announce the addition of Tekton support in IBM Cloud Continuous Delivery Pipelines. Tekton Pipelines is an open source project that provides a framework to declare CI/CD pipelines. Tekton Pipelines are cloud native and they run on Kubernetes. This is pre-release software though at the time of recording this video, but it has the backing of key members of the Continuous Delivery Foundation, such as IBM, Red Hat, Google, CloudBees, and others. And they all have a common goal of providing a cloud-native, standardized CI/CD approach. Tekton removes the need for a central CI/CD server. Instead, you define your pipeline as code, which provides benefits such as version control and easier rollbacks, for example. Adding support for Tekton gives IBM Cloud users the opportunity to be early adopters in the Tekton world. So let's take a look at what's needed to take advantage of it today. As Tekton pipelines are built to run on Kubernetes, you will need your own Kubernetes cluster. In this video, we're using an instance of IKS on IBM Cloud, as you can see on the screen here. And I am already logged in and ready to access the cluster via kubectl on the command line. In your toolchain, you'll need to create a private worker integration and use that to set up a worker agent on your Kubernetes cluster. This was discussed in a previous blog and video post, and you can find the link for those in the description of the video below. You will also need a pipeline as code repository that contains the definition of your Tekton pipeline, and a corresponding GitHub integration within your toolchain. In this video, we are using a Hello World sample hosted on GitHub under my account. Going into the detail of the pipeline definition itself is beyond the scope of this introductory video, but you can find links to the Tekton documentation in the video description below. With our cluster, private worker, and Git repo in place, we can now create our Tekton pipeline. On the pipeline creation screen, select Tekton in the drop-down and hit Create. Open up your new pipeline and it's time to do some configuration. As you can see, we are getting warnings that our configuration is incomplete. So let's make sure that everything is set up correctly. In our Definitions tab, we want to point at our Git repo, which is Hello Tekton, and the master branch. The .tekton path is the name of the folder within our Git repo that contains our pipeline definition. So let's save that. On the worker tab, I can select the private worker tool that I had set up. And on the triggers tab, I can add two types of trigger, a manual trigger or a Git trigger. As the names suggest, one is used to trigger pipeline runs manually, and the other triggers them automatically when certain Git events take place in the selected repo. For this sample, we also need a few environment properties defined, but these settings will differ between Tekton pipelines depending on requirements. With our configuration in place, we are ready to trigger a pipeline run. To do so, I'm going to merge a pull request into my pipeline as code Git repo. As you can see, it simply changes the string that is output on the screen when the application is running. This merge event will fire the Git trigger that I set up earlier in the pipeline configuration and start a pipeline run as a result. You can see the triggered run and its status listed here on the dashboard page, and if I'm quick, I can see the spun up pod running that is carrying out my job. This dashboard page is built using components from the open source Tekton Dashboard project, an IBM-led initiative to provide a web-based UI for Tekton pipelines. You can see my pipeline run has completed, and I'd also like to point out that if I wanted to, I could manually trigger a run from here as well. But let's leave that for now and dive into the pipeline run to see what information we can glean. In this view, we can see all of the tasks and steps that were performed as part of the pipeline run, and we can inspect the logs of each particular step. So in the case of any failures or issues in our pipeline run, the logs will provide information on what might have gone wrong. But everything in this pipeline run looks good and completed and passed. And at the end of the logs of the final step here, there is a URL output which will take us to our newly deployed Kubernetes application, which is up and running and has our change strings welcoming us to using Tekton in IBM Cloud. Today you've seen a quick overview of the industry-leading Tekton support provided by the delivery pipeline on IBM Cloud. This feature gives IBM Cloud users a chance to get in on the ground level of Tekton and begin to utilize this exciting technology for their CI/CD processes. Check out some of the links on screen, which can also be found in the video description, to learn more about Tekton and to keep in the loop on the project's progress. If you need any help with what you've seen today, you can consult the documentation or the forums or the DevOps Q&A Slack channel. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.